Hello and welcome back to another episode of Cyber Voices, the official podcast of the Australian Information Security Association, otherwise known as ASA. I'm your host, as always, David Willett, and it is my pleasure to have you with us as we explore the diverse voices of the Australian cyber industry. Welcome back to Cyber Voices live from CyberCon Australia here in beautiful Melbourne. I'm your host, David Willett, and today we're exploring the intersection of cybersecurity, privacy, and the rapidly evolving world of connected vehicles. Joining me is the wonderful Gaurav, a seasoned information security leader and board advisor with over 15 years of experience across India, the UK, and Australia. Gaurav is a familiar face at security events across ANZ, and beyond his professional achievements, he's deeply committed to community service through SES, the New South Wales Cyber Business Exchange, and AWSN. Now, Gaurav has been on the show before where we talked about AI, we talked about biometric security, all kinds of crazy stuff. And look, this guy's got so much to talk about. Like, you have got 3 talks.
First of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity. And all those topics, what made it easy was that I had a consistent theme, whether it's connected cars or smart devices or ransomware. I was exploring the intersection of IT, OT, and the privacy and safety risks associated with when we use smart devices and don't make the right choices. What I was trying to highlight through all my presentation is we, as the consumers, whether B2B or B2C, we need to take some ownership of keeping ourselves and our family and friends safe as well.
Absolutely.
That made it easy.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, 3 talks to get 3 talks accepted is incredible. So you've got spying cars, threats and practical solutions, ransom ops and double extortions, lessons from the trenches, wearable technology, risks and best practices. And I'm a little bit tongue-tied, everyone, because it's the end of day 2 and I've done a lot of interviews today, so I keep stuffing up my words. But Gaurav, welcome back to Cyber Voices. It's so nice to see you again. How has your CyberCon been?
It's been fantastic. Like Sydney Sec, when we recorded the previous podcast, same here. I have gotten to meet so many people that I haven't seen in a while. That's the biggest advantage. That's what attracts me to CyberCon. Come and see people that I don't get to usually see. And the caliber and diversity of speakers, from Michelle McGuinness to Theresa Payton and from Tim Brown, that diversity from speakers, experts, professionals from across the world who come, and I see they're being very authentic and open. They share a lot of ideas about how to do things, how to spot and avoid risks. It's been fantastic.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. It is Cyber Christmas, as it's known to as a few people. And a lot of our international guests have been coming in to speak to me and have been telling me just how wonderful the community is at CyberCon. They said that we've really got something special here in terms of cyber events and cyber conferences globally, because, you know, the big ones overseas are really exciting and really amazing to go to, but you don't get the connectedness that we have here. Everyone out here knows each other.
And even when people don't know, whether it was at my presentation or the presentations that I was participating in, the social tissue where people are willing to share, the presenters are willing to share their presentations, the people from the audience shout out and say, hey, I'm the expert on this topic, I can help you with this. When, for example, in my presentation, given I was exploring the intersection of security and privacy, also from legal perspective, not the legal guy here, thankfully, I had a privacy lawyer in the audience, and she was more than willing to jump in and help me with some difficult questions and also help participants that I'm the legal expert, come and talk to me. So that willingness, that openness for people to help everybody out, that's just outstanding. And I think very uniquely Australian.
What a great story. What a really great story. I love that. So I want to pick up one of your topics because I think it would be great to unpack that today. And I've decided that spying cars is something that's really worth
my favorite
chatting about, because connected vehicles are becoming a part of everyday life, right? And it's not just EVs. People talk a lot in the media about EVs, but all cars, and even before EVs became popular, all cars have been some kind of like smart functionality, constant internet connections in them. But, you know, what kinds of data are our smart cars, for want of a better term, collecting? And why should we be concerned about that?
You're absolutely right that smart cars and EVs are synonymously used, interchangeably used terms, but they're not the same. Even non-EV, traditional petrol, diesel cars also are smart cars. Any car which has an embedded SIM card and a modem and can transmit data over the internet is a smart connected car. What they collect a lot depends upon the car brand. For example, Tesla collects your transcription of the voice commands and uploads it to Tesla Cloud, does not store your voice itself. Ford, Mazda, and Mitsubishi, those three car brands, at least as per their publicly available privacy policy, they store your voice as well. Tesla was known, there have been publicly known cases for Tesla recording the footage from inside the camera and storing on their servers, and in some cases, sharing with third parties as well. So it really depends upon the car brand. But if you generalize that, and in some cases, some cars would not be collecting those data. They obviously collect your first name, last name, your genetic information, your health information, your facial expression for using the camera inside the car, immigration status, especially in the US, whether you're an immigrant or a local citizen. So, and that's what disturbs me, that these car brands are collecting a lot more information than it is necessary for a consumer to drive a car. And why would a car brand need to know my immigration status or my sexual status or whether I'm in stress, whether my facial expression? Why does a car brand need to know? And that's what disturbs me.
I'm interested to get your thoughts on how these privacy risks differ from those in other traditional IT environments, because you and I and most of the people out here are aware that, smartphones, smart speakers at home,
Yeah.
smart TVs, smart watches, all things that I am either have on me right now or in my house, have all been caught out for collecting this kind of information in the past.
Yeah.
What's the difference in terms of the risk when it comes to smart cars?
I think the biggest difference is people's unawareness and this perception with the traditional cars, that a traditional car was a safe and private space where we could hit the open roads, explore endless possibilities, and nobody was watching us. There was no big brother inside the car. It was our safe private space. And a lot of people still believe that a car is a safe private space, as opposed to, any smart home or if we are in the vicinity of a smart device, we are getting recorded most likely. But a car used to be that safe private space, and that it's no longer the safe private space. If you are inside a car, it's highly likely a lot of cars are recording your audio, some cars are recording your video, and are uploading to not just the car manufacturer's cloud, but also the service providers who provide the infotainment system within the car. So your data, that's another risk, that when you're with this using a smart device at home or with phones, extreme examples, but at home, maybe the data is going just to the manufacturer, whether using your Alexa or Google, your data is being uploaded to Google Cloud or Amazon Cloud. Whereas in cars, the risk is you're not just uploading to the Tesla Cloud or Ford Cloud or whatever car manufacturer is. Your data is also being shared with third-party infotainment service providers, which are not necessarily governed by the Australian privacy law. For example, BYD, on their privacy policy, publicly admits that they share and store data in 16 different countries in the world. Kia and Hyundai, both are owned by Hyundai Group. They have a list of countries that ends with, quote, and more.
Mm-hmm.
So the list of countries where they're storing data is not very clear. And the countries, those countries, of course, don't have to comply with Australian privacy laws. And that's the risk.
Mm. Yeah, and I imagine the users or drivers are not being given the opportunity to opt out, or it's all hidden in a convolutedly long privacy agreement that you just tick I agree and so you can drive your car.
Spot on. There a lot of cars in Australia, if when you buy a car or when you download a mobile app, unfortunately, you legally consent, and those car manufacturers and mobile app makers opt you in to data sharing. And you're legally opting in, not just casually opting in, you're legally opting in to their data sharing practices. Some car providers, not all, some car providers do give you an option to opt out. But if you opt out, the car may become inoperable or unsafe to operate.
Yeah.
So there is always that tussle between functionality and privacy. If I opt out, And sometimes you could void the warranty of that car.
Mm.
So there is that new world reality that we live in, that if we want functionality, we don't have, especially in cars, we don't just pay with money, we pay with our privacy too.
It's a little insidious, really. It's like, oh,
It really
opt into
is.
all these features, or else we can't guarantee the safety or usability of this car. You probably just dropped at least of like 50, 60, $70,000 on these days.
Absolutely. The legal expert that I'm talking about, who was in the presentation, she worked in Canberra with government departments, and she has been trying for months and years probably to get a sign in the government fleet that conversations in this car are not private.
Mm,
Hasn't happened yet. Hope it does sometime soon. But that's the reality of the world we live in, that conversations inside a smart car are not private.
that's quite scary. Are there any case studies or examples where vehicle data was exploited or mishandled that you're aware of?
Yeah. For example, I'm picking up on Tesla quite a lot because they have been in news
Not their most
for
well
such
known.
reason. Yeah. So, for example, 2023, there was a legal case in US where a lady filed a case about her partner using Tesla's mobile app to stalk her. And Tesla legally admitted that it does not have a policy. This is back in 2023. Things might have changed since then. Back in 2023, at least, they did not have a policy to stop joint car owners, or Tesla mobile app users, to stop them from stalking their victims while using Tesla cars or Tesla mobile apps.
Yeah. Wow. And what are some of the other sort of like surprising or overlooked findings around smart cars? Do we call them smart cars? Is that the right term?
Smart cars,
Yeah.
connected vehicles,
Connected vehicles.
interchangeable
Yeah,
terms.
yeah.
Yeah.
What have been some of the other surprising or overlooked findings as you've kind of researched this subject that you've come across?
Uh, I think the most overlooked finding or assumptions we all make is we assume in Australia that when we are buying a car, we are legally protected by the Australian Privacy Act. And all those, to some extent, we are. But unfortunately, all that protection only applies to the car owner, not the passengers in the car. So if you're a passenger in the smart car, your conversations, your privacy is not protected by the car manufacturer or the third-party infotainment service providers that are present in that car's hardware. That's been the most surprising fact for me, that, whoa. So if I sit in a friend's car and we are having a confidential conversation, it's not protected,
Mm.
legally not protected, because I'm not covered by the legal aspects of that particular car. Only the driver is, or the driver's joint owners are. Passengers are not.
Very, very Orwellian. If anyone's ever read 1984, yeah. If you're ever near one of the telly boxes, they can see and hear everything. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned before that you got some legal and privacy act questions
Yeah.
in your talk, because I'm interested. Did you get any insights from that on how privacy regulations like the Privacy Act or GDPR can apply to connected vehicles? Are the manufacturers actually doing anything to keep up, or are they just waiting for the lawsuits to come to fix things?
Unfortunately, it's the more of the latter.
Yeah.
The FCAI, Federal Chamber of Australian Industries, I'm probably getting that acronym wrong, but FCAI is a voluntary association in Australia of car manufacturers and sellers in Australia. They have a code that car manufacturers, we don't have car manufacturers in Australia. Companies selling cars in Australia have to comply with. The unfortunate reality is it's a voluntary code that car manufacturers themselves have written. It's a voluntary code, it's not a law. So they don't have to comply with all that code says. And that code, not just that code totally ignores the Privacy Act.
Right. Yeah.
So it's more of the latter, where the companies are waiting for a lawsuit before they would change their behavior. Regulation is not doing any better. The 2024 Cybersecurity Act includes smart devices except smart vehicles.
Mm.
So that Cybersecurity Act from last year explicitly excludes smart vehicles or connected vehicles. That's unfortunate. I hope that Australian Privacy Act gets to a level where it's overreaching at GDPR and
Yeah.
CCPA.
You think it would apply to any connected device?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, a car is now, it's less a vehicle and more a device.
It is.
Yeah.
Spot on. Yeah.
You've talked as well, or you mentioned in your talk around the Vehicle Privacy Report, or the VPR. How does the vehicle privacy report, if you're familiar with that, how does that help assess and manage privacy risks in this space?
So, Vehicle Privacy Report is produced by a third party or an independent website called Privacy for Cars. And Privacy for Cars has researchers that go out and research different car brands. They're independent. They're at least they're not associated with any car companies. So they did their own research and publish vehicle privacy reports. And what those vehicle privacy reports do is educate people, help us make informed decisions about which cars to buy. Unfortunately, there are no cars out there, except a few. Isuzu Ute and a few other brands are publicly not known to misuse our data as much as the Nissans or the Toyotas of the world are. Toyota has 12 different privacy policies, all cross-referencing each other like a spaghetti.
Mm.
It's an incomprehensible galaxy. So Vehicle Privacy Reports is a fantastic initiative, self-funded. So hopefully they get more support from the community or sponsors to continue their work.
Yeah. What practical steps do you think that organizations or, especially like, these car manufacturers could start to take to help protect end user data? Or where have you seen examples of them actually trying to be more proactive with protecting end user data?
I haven't seen any example of car manufacturers
Yep.
taking that proactive approach because it's not in their financial interests. But the examples are fleet operators. A lot of fleet operators, given it's in their interest that they do not have a lawsuit filed against them related to privacy and security. So fleet operators take that very, very seriously, and they do inform consumers that this car is a commercial space or a public space. Whatever you record or say in this car is not private. Just like in a workspace, when we use a computer, we know that nothing on this computer is private. Similarly, so fleet operators are doing really, really well in that space. As I said, the legal expert in my conversation, she's trying to do something similar in the government space as well.
Mm-hmm.
What could individual consumers do? We could educate ourselves a little better. In Australia, I think we take that she'll be right attitude too far for too long. We really need to pull our heads out of the sand and see the world for what it is, and really realize that we live in a digital world. We need to become digitally educated. Otherwise, the cars will keep taking our privacy for a ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And as vehicles become more autonomous and interconnected, how do you see the privacy landscape evolving?
Fantastic topic. Interconnectedness, if I can highlight, there's a concept V2X, vehicle to everything. So vehicles connect to other vehicles, pedestrians' phones, traffic lights, massively advantageous. It can reduce accidents. It can save lives, whether the lives of the pedestrians because the driver is not paying attention or the lives of the drivers themselves. But that also expands the attack surface. So we are not talking about how do we protect privacy of the car consumer just from the car manufacturer or the software provider, but everything that car then connects to, who manages the traffic lights, the individual pedestrian walking on the road, and everything else that's around in the vicinity of that smart car. Very complex space, but baby steps. How do we get there? How do we start protecting people's privacy? Two-pronged approach, education for the people, and not in the traditional sense of cyber education that, hey, do this, but also show them why. Why is it important? I think the mental well-being space and the physical safety space does it a lot better than we do in cybersecurity or privacy space. So educating people is one approach. The other approach would be we really need to make the regulation faster. But the regulators really probably need to hire more people and work a lot faster than we are currently doing to get to a level where GDPR is.
Yeah, well, regulation, I think in most parts of the world always sort of seems to be playing catch up with technology, especially in the age of AI and automation. And who knows what's going to happen once that finds its way into our cars as well. I'm surprised it hasn't already.
And Google Gemini is coming to cars.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of people find talking to their cars is a productivity hack. I'm driving for 2 hours. What am I going to do while driving? I will talk to the car.
Well, I have a 45-minute drive to work.
Exactly.
I could imagine myself brainstorming ideas with Google Gemini in the car or ChatGPT or something like that on that drive. It's actually a good idea.
Well, great idea. What happens after a few weeks? You get bored and you want to talk about your personal stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You've run out of your professional topics and ideas, and you're frustrated, or you're exploring something, whether I should buy this gift for my partner or my kids. that's when it starts becoming the boundary between professional conversations and ideas and personal lives starts getting blurred.
Mm-hmm. So we are about to see Gemini arrive in vehicles,
In
are
vehicles,
we?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
May this year, Google announced that Gemini is coming to cars soon. I was
Ah,
hoping that it would be there by now and I could talk about them,
okay.
but hasn't happened yet.
Is that being natively built into any particular manufacturer's car, or is that through like Android Auto?
On Android Auto.
Android
So if you
Auto.
have Android Auto, Gemini would be in your car and you can talk to Gemini right in your car.
Interesting. Because the current Google interface on Android Auto, which I use, is awful. I have to say, no, I don't want to reply to that text message about 5 times before it actually registers. So we'll see if Gemini can do any better. Gaurav, thank you for that. I guess to wrap up, what would be the parting bit of advice that you would give to, I think probably more to consumers out there in terms of how to manage your personal risk in this increasingly connected world, especially when it comes to connected vehicles?
I'd say becoming more aware about the hardware and the software we are using. The car hardware software provider, they have their own privacy policies, and navigating that, understanding that, it's a complex exercise in itself, especially when there is a distributor involved. For example, BYD still sells cars directly and through EV Direct. So being aware of who you're buying your hardware from, the car or vehicle from, and whose privacy policies you're governed by, we do need to take time. We can't have a facade on that, I'm not technical enough to understand all this. We live in a tech world. We really need to technically educate ourselves. That's one thing. The other approach is very simple. When we connect our phones to the cars, minimize the permission and accesses we are giving to the car. Quite often when we plug our smartphones with the car would ask access to your contact, your calendar, your call logs, your location history. I just want to play Spotify.
Yeah.
So slow down. Don't click that accept button. Yes, give access to everything. Slow down, take your time, and minimize the permissions we give our cars to our phones. The car doesn't need to know about all the contacts because that's not putting just me at risk. It's putting everybody in my contact list at risk.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And I hope that you have all the best luck with all your other amazing talks that you have to do at CyberCon. And thank you for sharing a little bit of your knowledge and insights on this topic.
Oh, thank you for having me, David. I appreciate it.
As always, thank you for sharing your voice with us today. Thank you for listening to another episode of Cyber Voices. Our music is by Sanar Garut, our show artwork is by Studio Quarantine, and we record our show at This Is a Studio in Pran, Melbourne, part of Popplant Productions. Please make sure you follow the show on your podcast platform of choice and leave us a 5-star review. This will help others find the show. Also, please follow the association on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you want to add your voice to our ever-growing chorus of diverse cyber voices, have questions, feedback, or would like to be a sponsor, you can do so by emailing us at cybervoices@aisa.org.au. That's cybervoices@aisa.org.au. Are you an AISA member? If not, you should consider joining our network of over 12,000 members across Australia. An AISA membership can open doors, build professional networks, create lifetime friendships, and offer exclusive training, events, and other perks. Become a member today by heading to our website at aisa.org.au. That is all for today. I hope you will join us again next time on Cyber Voices.